This is News 6 Tonight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday edition of News 6 Tonight. We have had what a week.
It's been a week.
Every day we say like, okay, it's been a big news day, but that's the kind of week we have had, and it's made the week fly by, quite frankly. And tonight is no exception, except my normal co-host, Matt Austin, is off on this Friday night. We are fortunate enough to have one of our News 6 investigators, Donovan Myrie, in for Matt tonight. And Donovan, for people who don't know you, you've been here for, I don't know how many years, like 8 years now?
9 years,
Yeah, and you've had a variety of roles, but right now your most recent role is you're one of the News 6 investigators, and you have what we call a new franchise, helping people with their money and understanding the economy and things like that. So we're going to talk about your role here at News 6 a little bit later on. But thank you for making the time and being here with us this evening.
I was voluntold.
Yes, you were. And so far, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we do have to get to the stories that are really big tonight. And the one story that we have been talking about for several weeks now is what happened at Epic Universe with Stardust Racers roller coaster. A few weeks ago, a gentleman, 32-year-old man, died on that coaster. And we still don't quite know what happened.
Right. I mean, the medical examiner said it was multiple blunt trauma. It was Kevin Rodriguez Avala. He was in a wheelchair. He rode the roller coaster, and when the roller coaster
by the
stopped,
end of the ride, he was
unresponsive.
gone. Yeah. And one of the things we got this week is a look at how fast first responders arrived to the scene and what they discovered when they were there. And we thought this Friday we would just do a recap of all the big things that had happened. But then lo and behold, in the afternoon, we get this breaking news story that they are going to reopen that ride, and they're going to reopen it tomorrow. Our News 6 investigator, Mike DeForest, has the rest of the story.
Universal Orlando president Karen Irwin sent this letter to employees saying that the Stardust Racers roller coaster will be reopening on Saturday. In this letter, Irwin expresses sympathy and condolences to the family of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala. Rodriguez Zavala, who was born with spinal atrophy and uses a wheelchair, died more than 2 weeks ago after riding the Stardust Racers roller coaster at Epic Universe. The medical examiner determined the cause of death was multiple blunt impact injuries. Now, since that incident, Universal Orlando's president says the company's conducted an extensive review of the roller coaster, which was observed by a state of Florida ride inspector. Irwin says the ride's manufacturer and an independent third-party roller coaster engineering expert also conducted their own on-site testing. In her letter to employees, Irwin said, quote, "Our comprehensive technical and operational review confirmed the ride systems functioned properly throughout the boarding process, the duration of the ride, and upon the ride vehicle's return to the station, and our team members followed procedures throughout. To further assist guests in determining whether they can or cannot ride an attraction, we are updating operational procedures and attraction signage to reinforce existing ride warnings and physical eligibility requirements at Stardust Racers and other rides."
And a lot of people, I think, are still in disbelief. Again, we were the first station to tell you that that ride was going to reopen. And as soon as we made that announcement, we heard from the attorney representing that family. He's a civil rights attorney, Ben Crump. And he said, quote, he said that Stardust Racers is evidence in an active death investigation, and reopening the ride before our experts can examine every component is a grave risk to public safety. And then Zavalia's family came out, and they also said that it really ignores their hurt and their pain. It says, by rushing to reopen this ride as if nothing happened, Universal is showing great disregard for Kevin's life, our family's pain, and the safety of every rider who steps onto that coaster. And again, it's supposed to open again tomorrow, Saturday.
Such a contradiction from what we heard from Universal. I wrote down a couple of quotes. Ride systems functioned properly, updating operational procedures. Universal said that safety is their top priority.
Sure.
So it's from Universal's point of view, they're saying everything is okay.
The
and
ride
we're
functioned as it was supposed to function. It's just that someone happened to end up dead at the end of this particular ride. That happened September 17th. And this story, of course, is not over yet because on Monday, Ben Crump and the Zavala family will have another news conference to talk about these latest developments. But you can bet a lot of people are going to be at Epic Universe tomorrow to see who will be some of the first riders to get back on that ride. And we'll continue to follow that story.
And one last thing about that ride that we found out in the last few weeks is that other people have been injured on that ride.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And there was a lawsuit brought forth by a woman who says she now has permanent damage, and Universal settled that almost immediately.
And we never heard anything about it.
No, until Ben Crump and the first family came forward. So to be continued.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving on to other news now. 2026 is going to be a big year for Florida because we have the governor's race.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and politics here in Florida, boy, what a strange animal. And this race is this race is really heating up. And another candidate has thrown his hat into the ring for governor, and it's a familiar name to the governor. But the really strange part is this particular guy is not being endorsed by the governor. Yeah.
Who is being endorsed by the governor?
We don't
Because
know yet.
No
I
one
don't.
is being endorsed.
But
by
there are a
the
lot of
governor
people
right now.
in the race, and it's
Right.
still early, quite frankly. Our News 6 anchor, Justin Wormuth, sat down with Paul Renner, who announced his campaign a month ago, even though he does not have the support of the governor.
As Speaker of the Florida House, Central Florida Representative Paul Renner carried just about every part of Governor DeSantis' agenda across the finish line. Now, as Renner makes his bid for governor, the governor he once served is not backing his campaign.
I'm not supporting Paul Renner. I think it was an ill-advised decision to enter the race.
As someone who's been an ally of the governor's, how did that make you feel?
Well, it's not about feelings. Look, I mean, you can't separate the governor's legacy from mine as speaker, certainly from the legislative standpoint, and eventually I'm confident he'll support us either before or after the nomination.
Do you know what was behind that at all? Is it
You'd have to ask him.
Yeah. I mean, you probably have thoughts. I mean, Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins is also rumored to run and join into this primary. Do you think that has something to do with it?
It could well, but you'd have to ask the governor. And I'm really focused on really telling voters about this background of leadership, getting results. And if you're going to fix tomorrow's problems, which is what this election will ultimately be about, you want somebody who's helped fix yesterday's problems and taken on challenges that people said couldn't be solved, and we've solved them. We have places here in Florida that have had astronomical increases in property tax, well beyond, and this is the point really, is beyond people's income to keep up. Government should never grow faster than our income to pay for it.
Okay, and of course we are talking about it because our current governor cannot run again.
right. He's termed out.
Yeah, he's termed out. So these are the other candidates. It's Paul Renner running as a Republican, and so is Byron Donalds. He was one of the first ones you said
He was
to announce.
the
The
first
first.
one to announce, right.
Okay, and he has the
And-
endorsement from the president, from President Trump. So that's a pretty big deal. And then also Justin has done a one-on-one interview with David Jolly, who is running as a Democrat.
And David Jolly used to be a Republican.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about
and
that.
remember, I think he ran against Alex Sink down in the Tampa area.
That boy, that really brings back. That's a long time
a
ago.
long
My
time ago,
brain is
yeah.
not functioning like that. But again, the governor has termed out after this current administration is over, and he won this latest one handily. It was clearly a mandate.
It was a beatdown.
It was. So it'll
Unlike
be
his
interesting.
first one.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who he does endorse because he does hold a lot of power in this state, and I'm sure that Renner would have loved to have had his endorsement, but that's just not how it worked out.
And it seems really interesting because Renner is kind of continuing some of the things that DeSantis has wanted to put into place, cutting property taxes or eliminating property taxes.
Eliminating is the big one, yeah.
He's basically following on the same immigration laws, immigration stances in Florida that DeSantis kind of put into place. So it seems like it would be a natural legacy, but there's nothing there. And then calling it ill-advised. I mean, he literally said it was an ill-advised decision. You really have to wonder what's going on back there.
And it's Florida, so something is always going on. It's not going to be a boring race, but there are a lot of you the top candidates who are in this race right now, there are about 12 to 15 other people who want to be the next governor of the great state of Florida.
And
So
we
it'll be
haven't
interesting.
talked about the elephant in the room, Casey DeSantis.
That, of course, maybe he'll endorse her. Maybe the governor will endorse
But
Casey.
we don't
There's,
know.
there's
I
no
mean, we just don't
guarantee.
know.
There
Yeah.
is no guarantee to see how things shake out. All right, moving on. We are talking about your time here at News 6. It's so, and you've been here, you said like 8 years now. I really don't.
2016, so coming up on 9 years. now.
Okay, and you've
Yeah.
worn a number of hats. Tell us a little bit about some of the jobs you've had since you've been here in that time, because you showed up and you were first
An investigative producer.
Yes.
Right. So
Okay.
I was an investigative producer for about 5 years, and then I ended up doing streaming. So I was the executive producer of News 6 Plus.
Okay.
And I helped launch News 6 Plus. But basically, we got News 6 Plus launched. We did a bunch of shows. Also, as an investigative producer, I did Solutionaries. A lot of people
that's
forgotten
right.
about Solutionaries, right? And just when, as an investigative producer, I wore a lot of hats even in that
Of
wearing
course.
of a hat.
Yeah, and even when you switched your hat from being an investigative producer, our management said, "Wow, this guy's got a lot of talent." Oh, somebody's saying, Donovan, you're killing it. So you're already getting some fans.
Thank you,
And one
Danielle.
of the stories that you did, it was during one of the hurricanes, and it caught a lot of people's attention. They said, I don't think you were even supposed to be on air yet, but let's just roll the story, and you'll see what we're talking about. It went viral.
We're fishing in the middle of the road. We are on Edgewater Avenue in College Park. Dude, you got a fish. I saw you. You just caught that fish.
I did, right in the tree. Honestly, it's tradition now. Hurricane Ian, same exact thing happened.
Okay, that must have been Milton or something. I can't remember which one it was.
I can't remember. And that day I was with photographer Destiny Santana. We started off at the airport. We ended up doing the Waffle House Index.
Oh yeah, because that's a real thing. That's a real thing. But this was the real treasure, and in comes the guy on the lawnmower
Right through
who
the
we
middle of our
still
live shot.
do not know where he came from and where he got that.
And he's just zipping on through, and we're going, yep, that's a Florida
And
thing.
just-
Wait, he's not done yet.
Yeah,
'cause
just-
he goes out of frame, coming.
And what does he do when he gets out of frame?
and let's
I don't even know what happens.
see.
I can't remember. It's been so long ago.
Oh,
But
they cut it. He basically went through the frame one more time.
okay, well, just to get his shot at fame and glory.
Right.
But you do some very serious reporting here too, and you recently started something called Dollars and Cents.
Right, and it's it's interesting because when we started Dollars and Cents, it was this idea of what can we talk about that's going to help people with their money. The one thing we didn't want to call it was a consumer
Okay,
type of segment.
it's got a
there's
bigger umbrella than that.
yeah, there's some consumer type, there's some consumer things in there, but it's not just a consumer segment. The first one we did was on EV rebates when the EV rebates were stopping September 30th. So we previewed that before. We did, do you need rental car insurance? This week we did economic unease, and one of the indicators that a lot of people weren't talking about were lumber futures. I know. Yeah,
Okay.
lumber futures went down because people overbought their lumber in the summer in anticipation of tariffs, and now everybody's sitting on
A bunch of wood.
a bunch of wood. Not going to say that again.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then this week, just yesterday, we did a story on Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
Basically, they were pulling out of
They're not
11
doing
cities.
well at
Yeah,
all.
pulled out of 11 cities yesterday. Canceled plans for like 2 more coming up as they go along. The CEO of United said you can't have basically run an airline on the philosophy of screw the customer.
Yeah.
That is, wow, that's the war of the
Yeah, so there are a lot of other things other than just consumer type stories like, hey, how to save $10 when you go to Costco or whatever.
And
So
we
it's
hear
a
those
it's a
stories,
bigger story than that. Yeah, it's
these
more
are a little-
important.
Yeah, a little deeper than that.
Sure.
You know,
The other thing I want to talk to you about, sorry to interrupt you, is that you are also doing a lot with the homeless population here in Florida. Can you briefly talk about that a little bit? Because we keep seeing the video of you on this bus. That's really an important item.
Yeah, basically, we are part of a coalition for kind of a competition, but working together with there are about a dozen of us in this group, including the Orlando Sentinel, where we have teamed up to basically look at one particular subject for the whole year. And that subject this year was the camping law, or basically the ban on camping,
Yeah.
the ban on sleeping basically in public, and how it affects the homeless. We've produced between everybody in our coalition, my goodness, 60, 70 stories
Yeah.
on this.
And it's very insightful. It's very helpful because people don't understand what the law is and why it's the new law and how it is being enforced, and especially here in Central Florida. And there are quite some solutions to it. So I urge you to check out some of the stories that are on clickorlando.com. All right, don't go away because there's much more coming up on News 6 tonight, including something we just found out about today from one of our community correspondents, Paul Giorgio, and it only happens this time of year. We'll talk about it when we come back. Yeah, and you got the link from the show just a little while ago, I think. So we'll make sure we have that for News 6 tonight. Hey, thanks for stopping by. We know you're busy, but news doesn't stop, and neither do we.
That's right. And this is News 6 Tonight, where we leverage this entire busy newsroom with our community correspondents, our producers, our content desk, and then we filter through that. We have a casual conversation about the news that impacts Central Florida.
Yeah, we live here in the community, and we rely on you for our neighborhood network because you're our eyes and ears as well, and we can't do it without you.
So you can watch us all over the place, YouTube, News 6 Plus app, and clickorlando.com. While you're here, feel free to engage. Let us know who you are and where you're from.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to News 6 Tonight. On this Friday, we are getting ready for the weekend. I always love watching some of our community correspondents. I love them all, and I love watching their stories, but one in particular has just really... His stories, whenever someone tells you Paul Giorgio is working on a story, carve out some time because you're going to learn something and you're going to love whatever it is because he's just phenomenal at telling these stories. But this one happens to be about Lake Jessup. It's one of the largest lakes here in Seminole County, actually. And it's known for being infested with gators. It has like the most gators in the state or in Central Florida.
Right, but his story is not about gators.
It's not about
gators at all.
It's about something that we just found out. It blooms once a year, and this is the time of year it blooms. Here's Paul Giorgio.
Lake Jessup is the largest lake here in Seminole County. It's also known for being packed with alligators. I'm your community correspondent, Paul Giorgio, and this morning I'm going out with the St. Johns River Water Management District to see another phenomenon here on the lake that you may not have heard about.
Right up here on the right-hand side, I don't know which way y'all came in from, but you might have noticed there's a huge patch of sunflowers in bloom right up here on the right. But
Especially when you can see views like this.
isn't it beautiful? Gorgeous. Yeah. There's just hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of them in bloom this time of year.
It's always right around October 1st. You know, they're incredibly synchronized. Right around the 1st of October, they all bloom at once. And you've got about a 2 or 3 week window when they're all blooming, and then they'll set seed and senesce and die, and they're gone again until next year.
Williams is a land manager with the St. Johns River Water Management District, so he's out on these waters on a regular basis. But he'll tell you this.
Oh, I love coming out here. This is my favorite time of year on Lake Jessup, for sure.
Is the time of year he looks forward to most. To give those lucky enough a postcard view to remember. You don't need an airboat to see the sunflowers, but you will need your walking shoes. I'm here at the Marl Bed Flats Trailhead in Seminole County, where you could catch a glimpse if you're up for a little bit of a walk. but you better act quick. They'll probably be done blooming here in a couple of weeks.
So, I mean,
Are they
did
done
you?
already?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the weekend that they go, and it reminds me of the cherry blossoms
In Washington.
in Washington, where
Right.
people just. But I never heard of this before, and I was talking to Paul about it. And he says if you go now, they're probably gone because he did this a little bit earlier, you know, and just. Swamp sunflowers. I wish they had a prettier name because they don't sound like they smell good. Anything
But he
swamp
said,
related.
but he said they smelled amazing.
Yeah,
it's one
sweet.
part. We saw a 90-second version of
Yeah.
that package. There's a 3-minute version of it, and in particular, he talks about how good it smells.
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. So too bad you don't have smell-o-vision or your computer doesn't smell or,
No,
or
it's a
whatever.
good thing you don't have smell.
Probably for the most part. But it really is beautiful for the eye, but it's also something that is good for the environment. And that's what Paul always tries to bring to life because environmental stories are so important, especially here in Central Florida. We've got just beautiful resources. All right. And this might be, I don't know, you can go out this weekend, but it's not going to be a great beach weekend. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. And Jonathan happens to be in a club that I belong to here at News 6. We are in a unique position where our spouses work here. And a lot of people don't know, even people who worked in the newsroom for years. It's like, you and Donovan are married? What?
I know. We're mad. What?
Well, I know. Are we?
News to me.
Holy cow.
So your beautiful wife works here as well too, and it's just one of those things where okay, I like it, but I always tell Donovan, it's like, don't come over to my desk unless you have something to say about work.
Or unless I'm on fire. Put me out, please.
Why would that be?
I'm always on fire.
Yeah, oh my goodness. But
true.
anyway, we're always joking around and kidding, but it really is a nice thing to have, but you have to, you walk that line as
Right.
you and your wife do as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's funny because obviously Ginger and I work closely together, and my wife works in the investigative unit, so she works closely with Donovan. So
Exactly,
it's kind of
exactly.
This very, very fun,
Yeah.
professionally fun.
Yeah,
thing
very
that-
often I will walk over because what I do at home, Donovan is also a former professor, so he likes to teach. And I have this little pointer here. And when he starts talking, I just put a hand on his shoulder and it lets him know it's like, these people just want the time, not how to build the clock. So anyway, so how's the weekend looking, Jonathan?
Build us a clock.
I was going to
Jonathan.
ask, is that a back scratcher? I was like, what is that? Okay, so the weekend, yeah, it is not going to be a total loss. Now, there will be rain, and I think there will be periods of rain coming in off of the Atlantic. It's going to be more often than not on the beach, and some of that's going to push in through interior areas. You see those white lines on your screen? That's the wind direction off of the Atlantic, and that's basically what we're helping to generate these downpours. And this little swirl down here, this elongated swirl near the Bahamas, that's what the Hurricane Center has highlighted for some low chance for potential tropical development. As you can see there's no kind of thunderstorm action around it. It has a very low shot for development, but that's why we have that highlight. So coming up at 9:30, we're going to talk about the timeline of some of those downpours pushing in, and then a look at the tropics as we move through, the second week of October as well. We're getting there. We're not out of the woods yet. We know we've had some rough ones in October, but we are keeping our fingers crossed that we can get this one unscathed this year.
That is for sure. Fingers crossed. All right, Jonathan, we'll see you at 9:30. Thank you. And I urge you to check him out. He always does a good, thorough job. And you get to, weather during a newscast is only like about 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes, but he really gets to unpack a whole lot. And
The things I learned from
I know.
Jonathan. We were talking
great.
today, and he said something, and I went, huh?
Yeah.
a term I've never heard of. And
we'll be right back.
Welcome to News 6 Tonight. We are so thankful that you're joining us here wherever you found us.
Yeah, you know what this tells me? If you have made this your new streaming destination, it tells me you're smart. Also good looking because you chose to watch the news in a different way. That makes you really smart. Anybody can give you the news from a teleprompter or an old newspaper. We do it in a fresh new way.
That's right. So check us out wherever you like to stream. We have this app for your TV, News 6 Plus. You can find it on Roku and Amazon and whatever your smart TV is cooking. So thank you. We would love to hear your comments down
Oh my
below.
gosh. Yeah.
And then we'll show them.
Yeah, we will. News 6 Plus. The plus is you.
Ooh.
All right, welcome back to our final segment of News 6 Tonight on this Friday, and then we can let you get on with your weekend. But thank you for sticking with us this long. There's a major decision by a Florida court that could overhaul the law, the way law enforcement officers initiate vehicle searches. And we're talking about marijuana. Like if they had a cause to stop you and say, "I smell something," then they could search your car. Yeah. Now they cannot do that. So, and it stems from a case that happened out of Tampa. A judge, an appellate judges in Tampa say that now the smell of marijuana is not enough on its own to warrant the search for illegal drugs or firearms in your car. So, because medical marijuana is legal.
Right.
Yes, you still can't do the recreational thing, but
In your car, yes.
exactly. So if they smell it, they don't know if, okay, do you have a prescription for this, or was somebody else in your car? I think
it's
it
not
really,
as 1, 2, like this is how it goes
Yeah.
as it was. So
and I think a lot of people would appreciate the way that that it's playing out right now. And it stemmed from the case that happened in Tampa, where a guy actually had his case overturned because he was on probation, got in trouble. But
I don't think this is the last I'm going to hear of this.
no, I'm sure it's not.
Yeah.
But hey, this is the last you're going to hear from us for this week. Thank you so much for joining us for News 6 Tonight. We hope you have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Bye.